Look around you. At the bustling cafes, the glowing screens, the constant chatter. We live in a symphony of connection, a relentless hum of us. But what if I told you that beneath this surface, a quiet revolution is brewing, a revolution led by those who choose to stand apart? And what if I told you that this revolution, unseen and unheard by many, is society's deepest fear? Picture him. Not lonely, not isolated, but singular. He's not seeking a like, a comment, a glance of approval. His validation comes from within. And that, my friends, makes him the most dangerous person in the room. Not dangerous in the sense of malice, but dangerous to the very fabric of how we've been taught to live. Society whispers a comforting lie. You are incomplete without others. It's a foundational myth, woven into every ad campaign, every social media feed, every dating app. Find your soulmate, network, build community. But what if this isn't truth, but a carefully constructed cage? What if the truly whole person is the one who dares to be alone and finds themselves utterly complete? Our social structures thrive on your neediness. A needy person is a predictable consumer. A needy person is easily swayed. A needy person fears rejection more than anything. But the man who needs no one, he's a glitch in the system. The philosopher kings of inner strength. Let me introduce you to two unlikely allies in this quiet rebellion. Centuries apart, they understood this profound, unsettling truth. First, Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the ancient world, an emperor, a general, a ruler of millions. Yet his most profound victories were fought in the quiet solitude of his own mind. In his personal journals, his meditations, he wrote, "All cruelty springs from weakness." This man who could command legions chose to spend his evenings in quiet introspection, stripping away the demands of the world to find clarity within. He knew that true strength wasn't found in external power, but in an unshakable inner citadel, a strength forged in the crucible of self-reflection. Then, Friedrich Nietzsche, the defiant German philosopher whose ideas shattered conventions. He declared the individual has always had to struggle not to be overwhelmed by the tribe. Nietzsche saw that the herd instinct, the crushing pressure to conform, was the enemy of genuine individual flourishing. Both men arrived at the same dangerous conclusion. The person who can truly be alone with their thoughts, who can sit in silence and wrestle with the deepest questions, is the person who can think for themselves. And thinking for yourself, that, dear viewer, is the most revolutionary act of all. The psychology of the dangerous loner. So what actually happens inside the mind of someone who embraces this dangerous solitude? Firstly, they break free from the approval addiction. While others chase dopamine hits from likes and shares, the self-sufficient find a more potent and sustainable fuel, self-respect. Their worth is not measured by external metrics, but by an internal compass. Secondly, they learn to sit with discomfort. Most people flee silence, reaching for distraction. Why? Because silence reveals the unvarnished truth of who we are. And for many, that truth is unsettling. But the dangerous loner, they make peace with their inner demons. They've had those 3 a.m. conversations with their fears, their failures, their insecurities, and emerged stronger, clearer. And here's the kicker, the true threat. They cannot be manipulated. When you don't need external validation, the usual levers of control, the threat of rejection, the promise of popularity, the sting of social pressure, lose their power. You become immune to the petty games, the transparent attempts to sway your opinion or actions. The Marcus Aurelius method, strength through solitude. Marcus Aurelius engaged in a profound daily practice that we can adopt today. Every evening, he would review his day, asking himself piercing questions. What did I want today that I didn't truly need? What did I fear that was outside my control? How did I compromise my values to seek approval? This wasn't just journaling, it was psychological training. He was building an inner fortress, strengthening his resolve against the external world's onslaught. When you know yourself deeply, when you faced your shadow, others' attempts to manipulate you become transparent. Their social games become utterly boring. You become dangerous because you become truly free. The Nietzsche problem, creating your own values. Nietzsche pushed this even further. He argued that the truly dangerous person is the one who creates their own values rather than simply inheriting them from society. Most of us walk around with a moral code we never truly chose. We believe what our parents believed, our friends believed, our culture dictated. We are, in essence, living someone else's life. But the person who embraces solitude begins to ask uncomfortable questions. Why do I believe this? Who benefits from me believing this? What would I believe if I had to start from scratch? This is where true danger lies. Because once you start thinking for yourself, you stop being predictable, you stop being controllable, you stop being the good little consumer or the compliant voter. Loneliness versus solitude, the crucial distinction. We must be brutally honest about the difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is a state of lack, a feeling of incompleteness, a void that begs to be filled by others. A lonely person is a consumer. They'll buy things to feel better, seek validation through purchases, remain distracted and compliant. But solitude, however, is a state of wholeness. It's the ability to be complete in your own company, to find peace and silence, to enjoy their own inner world. A person who embraces solitude isn't buying anything to fill a void. They're not seeking validation. They're not distracted. They are thinking. And thinking people are dangerous to systems built on thoughtless compliance. The 4 pillars of dangerous solitude. Drawing from Marcus Aurelius and Nietzsche, I've identified 4 pillars that forge this dangerous solitude. Radical self-honesty. The dangerous loner doesn't lie to themselves. They confront their true motivations, fears, and desires head-on. This makes them dangerous because they can see through the lies of others, pierce through manipulation, and are not fooled by pretty words or social performance. Value independence. They develop their own moral code, rooted in reason and experience, not social pressure or tradition. This doesn't mean they're amoral. Often they are more moral, but their compass comes from within. This makes them dangerous because they cannot be controlled by shame or guilt. They do what they believe is right, regardless of external opinion. Emotional self-sufficiency. They don't depend on others for their emotional well-being. They've learned to regulate their own emotions, find peace within, and be their own source of strength. This makes them dangerous because they cannot be emotionally manipulated. They don't need your approval, your love, or your acceptance to feel whole. Intellectual courage. They're willing to think thoughts others won't dare to think, to question beliefs others take for granted, to follow the evidence wherever it leads, no matter how uncomfortable. This makes them dangerous because they cannot be silenced by social pressure. They will speak uncomfortable truths even when it costs them socially. The price of being dangerous. This path is not without its cost. People will misunderstand you. They'll label you antisocial, arrogant, or weird. You'll experience isolation, yes, but not loneliness. You'll recognize that most people operate on a different level of consciousness, and sometimes that can feel solitary. You will lose some relationships. Those invested in your neediness will be threatened by your independence. Friendships may fade. Family members might become uncomfortable with your growth. Society will constantly try to pull you back into the herd with subtle and not so subtle pressures to conform, to be normal. But here's the truth. The price of conformity is far, far higher. The price of conformity is your soul. Why does society fear the self-sufficient? Our economy thrives on people buying things they don't need to impress people they don't truly like. A content, self-sufficient person is a poor consumer. Social reasons. Social hierarchies and status games depend on people caring about external validation. If you don't care, you can't be controlled by them. You become unpredictable. Political reasons. Systems rely on people being influenced by popular opinion. If you think for yourself, you become harder to manipulate politically. Psychological reasons. Your independence shines a light on others' dependence. Your contentment highlights their discontent. Your freedom makes their cage terrifyingly visible. The modern Stoic, a call to dangerous living. So, how do you cultivate this dangerous, liberating solitude? Start small. Spend time alone without distractions. No phone, no music, just you and your thoughts. Begin with 10 minutes and gradually extend it. Practice the evening review. Like Marcus Aurelius, reflect on your day. What went well? What could be improved? What did you learn about yourself? Question your beliefs. Like Nietzsche, rigorously examine what you believe and why. Don't accept ideas just because they're popular. Think for yourself. Develop your own moral code. Decide the kind of person you want to be based on reason and experience, not external pressure. Enjoy your own company. Find activities you genuinely love doing alone. Reading, walking, creating, simply thinking. Build a rich inner life. Stop seeking validation. This is the hardest. Let go of the need for likes, comments, and social status. Find your worth within yourself. The paradox of dangerous solitude. Here's the beautiful and potent paradox. The person who truly needs no one becomes the most attractive to everyone. When you are complete in yourself, not needy or desperate, when your strength and peace radiate from within, that is magnetic. People are drawn to that energy. But here's the crucial point. You're not doing it to attract others. You're doing it because it's the right way to live, a path to genuine freedom. The attraction is merely a byproduct, never the goal. Relationships improve when you don't need them. Friendships deepen when they're truly optional. Work becomes more fulfilling when you're not desperate for external approval. Life becomes more meaningful when you're not constantly chasing fleeting validation. So, here is my challenge to you. Become dangerous. Not dangerous in the sense of causing harm, but dangerous in the sense of being impossible to control. Dangerous in the sense of thinking for yourself. Dangerous in the sense of being complete in yourself. Dangerous in the sense of having your own values, your own moral code, your own unshakable source of strength. The world desperately needs more people who cannot be bought, cannot be manipulated, cannot be silenced. The world needs more people comfortable in their own skin, who don't need constant validation, who can sit with their thoughts without needing to escape. The world needs more people that are dangerous. If this resonated with you, if it hit you in the chest like a truth long buried, share it. Let the algorithm know that content like this matters. And in the comments, tell me, what's one belief you've carried that you never truly chose for yourself? What's one area where you've been seeking external validation instead of developing self-respect?
Remember, in a world desperate to fit in, the most radical act is learning to stand alone. Stay dangerous, my friends.